Uh, Let me start off by saying, on a personal note, I was not supposed to be here today. I was supposed to, but I was not supposed to be here today. I couldn't. I was going through a lot of emotional things at the moment from my country and everything. So yesterday I was supposed to host, and I couldn't pull through. So I'm openly admitting it. But today, yesterday actually, I told myself that I failed. And I said, I have to practice what I preach, because I preach about imagination and the power of imagination, the power of positive imagination. So for me, is an exercise in the power of positive imagination and its ability to really create resilience in you, to overcome things, which are very important for any person, any CEO, any startup for that matter, any entrepreneur. So, for me, it's a win. And practicing what I preach, I'm going to preach today. We're going to open the good book of imagination right here, dear people of Nordeep. And we're going to start. Beloved people of Nordeep, let me hear you. Let me see your hands up. Let me see those hands. Yes, your hands too. There you go. Good job. Dare to do something different now. So we have gathered here today to talk about innovation and imagination, yes? And we'll, of course, start off with this good book, and I'll be reading from this, which asks us a very, very important question. Each one of you have to look deep inside and ask yourself, who among you hates KPIs? Oh, yeah. Who hates those KPIs, those key performance indicators? Now, don't get me wrong, KPIs are very important, right? KPIs are important for the journey to know how much we're progressing and how much we're talking on our phone, right? Is that true? Exactly. So key performance indicators are very important for us, but they come with a downside. The downside to key performance indicators is that they are stressing. How many feel that they're stressing? They create politics. They create a bad atmosphere. Oh yes, they may drive some teams, but how many teams are broken by this? Now mind you that these are numerical, fictional things, imaginative things that we set for ourselves. They're not real, right? But we consider them to be real. So the primary question, and we'll soon understand what this has to do with imagination, is how do we not let our KPI goals, and it says it right here, hurt the performance that they actually aim to increase? Right? And to answer that, we have to look actually at the very fundamental of key performance indicators. That's performance, right? We want to increase the performance. But then we ask ourselves, who actually creates this performance? Is it magic? Is it AI? Who is it? I ask you good people, who is it? People, that's right. People are the ones who create this. The good people sitting here and in your companies, they're the ones who actually create this. And so it says, right here, that the number one KPI that we often forget is that people are our most precious resource, and their imagination are the ones that we need. And therefore, the KPI that has always driven me and my teams and my departments and drive me every day is the acronym of Keep People Imagining. KPI, Keep People Imagining, right? Now, you may ask, okay, but isn't the founders, the individual people, their individual imagination, isn't that the key? Well, yes, it is the key. It sets the vision, they know where they're going. But the problem is that if any founder, deep tech or no deep tech, wants to motivate their teams, it has to be a lot more than his own imagination or her own imagination. They have to create something that is a collective imagination, taking their own imagination out, connecting with your imagination, and your imagination. We have to create something together. And since I cannot look inside your head and you cannot look inside mine, I promise you, you do not want to look inside mine, okay? So we have to do that. So we have to create this big thing that's a tool called collective imagination. Now, before we dive into that, we have to ask, and the good books ask us that, before we dive, it says, what's the journey got to do with imagination, right? Isn't the imagination, as Werner said, just that spark that goes up, that eureka moment, that wow, aha, I know the idea, I know what company I want to go for, I want to do this. Yeah, that's true. But in order to really create the company, and really build something that has a meaningful impact, there is a long journey to do. And you really have to keep that imagination and that passion of that non-existent future they want to create in order to get to it. So in any startup, we know that we know the start. And we might also know the impact that we want to create. But anything between the start and that impact is an unknown. It's an uncertainty. And how many of us love to walk into uncertainty? How many feel comfortable in uncertainty? How many love uncertainty? How many of you not raising your hand because you're afraid to say that you're not certain in uncertainty? There you go. Okay, good. So that's actually that. So it's really scary, and it's okay to admit it, just like I did. It's a scary place to be in. We don't want to be there. You have to be really, really, really passionate about what you do in order to keep that direction. So you might look at imagination as the compass, okay, to that. And it says here that if you really look at imagination as the compass, it allows you actually to focus on the journey itself, not merely on the vision, but really on the ups and downs of the journey, being very much aware and imagining how this is going to go, not the specific result, which we often give KPIs that meaning. It's one result, it's a finite point. But rather, when you imagine the journey, these KPIs that we love to put, they become milestones. They measure us if we've gotten to a certain place, if we got there or not. So it also allows us to be a little forgiving in ourselves because we understand that the KPI that we set is not reality. It is something that we wanted to do. And therefore, the imagination of where we're going, according to that, we start setting our KPIs. So it changes the very way that we measure our progress, okay? In the way of how are we progressing towards that goal. And it says it all right here, you know? I don't have to invent anything. So we have to understand, though, you're saying, okay, great, but what are the benefits of imagination? Good question. I can see it on your faces. So the benefits of imagination and really bring that into your, the collective imagination into your company, the first thing you do is develop the courage to explore that uncertain and that unknown. And this courage is something very important. It keeps people with you, keeps people walking along, simply because you see them and you see their imagination, you see the most precious thing that they have, and you bring that along with you in the journey. And they're not just working for you. It actually offers, in that sense, also access to original creativity, not just creative methods. Okay, there's a difference between creativity and imagination. Creativity is fueled by imagination. And the more you tap into the unique imagination of each and every one of you, the more you bring out this limitless source, the more creative you become, your original creativity. Not the one that is just like everybody else, your own original one. And we're afraid to bring that out because we don't trust ourselves, because we fear what others would say. All these blocks that we have in our path, it's very human to fear putting ourselves out there. And what's more precious than our ideas? So, this gives you this access to overcoming those blocks, to overcoming creative blocks as well. It also, as we spoke, offers you resilience. Okay? What's resilience? Resilience is being able to be knocked down and get up again. Now, how many of you have startups? How many of you have experienced startups? How many of you have been knocked down just a little bit? Face limitations, says no. Is that fun? Sometimes. You're a masochist, but okay, I like that. So it's not fun, right? But so there's going to be a lot of setbacks, emotional ones, physical ones, world-changing ones, and so on. And it really matters. When everything's fine, like, let's do this, work with me here. Just try to stand up for a second. Just stand up. All right, you fell down to a sitting position, you stood up very nicely. The question is what happens when you can do this with me, just literally fall down. Okay, now, as I'm demonstrating, it's very hard to get up. My muscles have to really pull me up, and I have to, oh, I crushed something. Okay, and I have to put myself up. Same thing with the muscles of imagination. If you treat you can sit down. If you treat imagination like a muscle, these muscles of mine, if I had not worked, if I had not trained them, they would not be able to pick me up again. Therefore, your mental muscles, your imagination muscles, if you treat it like that, and that means you have to practice all the time, will actually help you get up and overcome things that are limiting for other people, that may stop other people, that they may say, I've had enough. Screw this. I don't want to continue the path on. But then you're reminded, I remember the imagination of the journey, just like I imagined being here with you. And I said, that's worth it. And this is why I'll get up again and I'll keep walking. It's all in the good book. What it offers more, it offers something that is really amazing. It offers actually insight into unexpected opportunities. And why is that? Because when we observe things, when we're curious about things, when we're open to saying, okay, this is one interpretation of the situation, but I can imagine another interpretation of the situation, and another one, and another one, interpretation of that very situation, then I can suddenly understand that I can find things that I didn't see before. Therefore, I see these limitations, and instead of saying they're stopping me, they actually become challenges to overcome. And you may say, oh, okay, that's semantics. But no, it's not semantics. When I say something is limiting, there's a wall. It's stop, that's it. Status quo. They told me, limiting of technologies. You can't do that, and so on and so on. Our own self-limitations. But when I say, okay, that's one way to see the world, now there's another reality that I can invent for myself, it becomes a challenge to overcome, and therefore it brings innovation. Remember we talked about imagination to innovation? So it brings that innovation, that real innovation, to bring something to solve something that you didn't think that would be solvable before, but now it is, because you were able to really see it that way. And then don't worry about limitations, they'll find you later. But once you imagine the opportunities, then they become those challenges to overcome, as we said. So you said, okay, great, you've convinced me. The sermon worked. I love imagination. What, as we say in Hebrew, tachlis, means what do we actually do? How do you actually turn this into something active? So how to keep people imagining individually and collectively. It says here on page 65. You can flip in yours as well. So imagination can only happen under two circumstances. When you have trust, and when you feel safe. These are the two ways that you can actually have. So they can say, okay, that's great, but how do I get you to trust me, and how do I get you to feel safe with me? It's a big ask, okay? So we have to understand that in companies, this happens when they really embrace imagination and what it can do into the working culture, and this is one method. But embracing imagination actually means three things, and we'll do them together. And these are actually also exercises that you can take back and do this. The first thing we want to create is how to comfortably step out of our comfort zone. So the big ask, how many of you like to step out of your comfort zone? Really? Good job. Well, you're entrepreneurs. There you go. Most people don't have. Most times they look at the audience and are like, Okay, so we actually have to do that in a comfortable way, not to scare you off. So the factor of fun is something very important. So I want you to do something with me that's going to be a little comfortably uncomfortable, okay? You're going to pair up real quick. Stare around, find another person, lock eyes, lock eyes, lock eyes, lock eyes with someone, I don't care. Okay, lock eyes quickly. If there's anybody that doesn't have anybody, come down. Don't be shy, I'm looking at you, You locked eyes? Good. You can lock eyes from across the room. You have one in the back? Hold on, you back, you front, okay. Cool. Now, up. I know this is fun. What we want to do for the next 30, don't look at me, I said lock eyes, therefore you're going to look at the person. Okay, what we're going to do for the next 30 seconds, one person, whoever wants, is going to try to make the other person laugh for 30 seconds. 1, 2, 3, go. One person makes the other person laugh. If it's not laughing, you're not working hard enough. You're not out of your comfort zone. Get out there, make them laugh. If they're not laughing, they're failing. Come on, make them laugh. Okay, now switch. The other person makes the other person laugh. Go. Switch. Go on. It says this in a whole good book. One must make thy one laugh. Okay. Good job. All right, look at me, back to me. In a raise of hands, how many of you were able to make the other person laugh? How many of you were able to laugh at themselves? How many of you were able to push yourself past that awkward phase of the comfort zone? Good job. Give yourself a round of applause. That was beautiful. Thank you. Good job. Second thing, so we talk about comfortably stepping out of our comfort zone, and as the good book says, practicing feeling safe. How do you do that? Well, you practice something called the no wrong answer environment. Okay, so why don't you, where's my badge? Why don't you all grab your badge? We're going to see what that actually means. Grab your badge, grab your badge, grab your badge. Now look at it. I'm going to count to 20. And you're going to look at this badge, and it's not a badge anymore. Now, I don't care what it is, but it's up to you what it is. What it isn't is a badge, okay? You invent whatever you want from this thing. You have 20 seconds, and when we do that, you're going to lock eyes with that person again. You're going to tell them exactly what you imagine. How about that? All right, 20 seconds. I'm looking at the clock. 30, 20 seconds. No, keep it to yourself. When we're done with the 20, then you say. First of all, imagine inside your head. Then we're going to bring it out. Imagine what it is. What is this? What is this? 10 seconds left. Don't overthink it. Okay. You know what? Let's do something different. On the count of 3, you all scream and listen if you hear somebody else scream whatever you just imagined. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you didn't listen. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. Did anybody hear his thing or her thing that somebody else said? Do you think it looked the same? No, you don't. You have something. You probably see that. What was yours? And your? And what does it look like? And what does yours look like? There you go. So these are 2 completely different spaceships. Point being that everybody imagines something differently, and you know what? This is a badge. That's the objective reality of this thing. And you're all absolutely right. You know why? Because it's a non-existent future. You just created it. Now, this could be used as a trigger to create new things, big things. This is irrelevant anymore. It doesn't matter. Because your idea became the reality. And that is actually what we're all about. And the third thing, we talked about comfortably stepping out of comfort zone. We talked about feeling safe in a no wrong answer environment. The last thing that I ask you to do is allow for fun in the workplace. I allow myself to be silly. I allow myself to be stupid. I allow myself to ask dumb questions. Does it take away from my authority? Careful. There you go. It doesn't. The same thing, it doesn't matter. People think that if they're silly, they're imaginative, they actually let people enjoy and be themselves, it means that they're less serious, will have less results. So I'm telling you, usually my KPIs and my boss, where I come from, they said, when's the due date? Yesterday. So this is how we live. And we're managed to understand that if you put fun, you're actually able to create lots of things. And I'm telling you what we're going to create by working on the comfort zone, working on the wrong answers, and the no wrong answer environment, and working on the fun, you will get, tell them what they want, the following. You're going to get real innovation. You are going to get retention. People they want to stay with you. They will want to be in your company. You will get ownership. People will be part of the process, even though they're not founders, they're not shareholders. They're going to be part of the process because they're going to be imagining with you where we're going to go. And that's how you keep people with you, okay? And that actually will help any business to succeed. It'll give you the best start to get forward. If you implement this into your working culture, and it's easy, everybody has it. It's just a matter of tapping into it and allowing themselves to bring it out. And so, I leave you, as the good book says, with 3 words, and it says it right here. We're going to say it together. It's going to be that KPI, that keep people imagining. Ready? And keep people imagine. You didn't do it together. 1, 2, 3. Keep people imagining. Thank you very much. Thank you.